A very good morning and welcome back to the course of microwave engineering. As discussed last time, we solved one typical example of designing the lumped element LC matching circuit to match the given value of complex load impedance with a transmission line. So that was our first example, and that time we have shown you the two different ways in which the solution can exist. Okay. So the example which we took last time, that I will show you, right? And let us revise it. So the example was the value of load impedance 100 minus j50 ohm with a characteristic impedance 50 ohm. Okay. So this we solved and we saw the entire detailed procedure how to design an impedance matching circuit for this particular problem. Okay. So step by step all the instructions were given, and we have design an impedance matching circuit. Okay, and lastly we have shown you the circuit diagram how the impedance matching circuit look like. Okay, so I request you people, if you have not downloaded the Smith charts, soft copy of the Smith chart, you can go to this particular link or you can follow this QR code. It will directly open up a folder in which I uploaded the resources. From there you get the soft copies of your Smith chart. And as discussed last time, I don't know whether you people are going to use a soft copy directly, or I will advise it will be better for you to take the hard copy printouts and then make use of ruler, scale, pencil and compass. And as on when we start solving the example, you follow the same example with me. Okay, so whatever the procedure that I will be performing over here in the lecture, so I request you people to be there with your individual Smith chart and the required tools. That is, we require a ruler, a compass, a pencil, and if possible, if you want to draw it colorful so that you can understand the concept quickly, then you can make use of color pencils or color pen in order to have the design work on the Smith chart. Okay, so I highly recommend you people to get the hard copy printout of the Smith chart, and when we start solving the typical example, follow the steps along with me, but you are supposed to do those steps in your hard copy. Okay, so that you will get a confidence, right? So though I am showing how to solve this impedance matching circuits online, you are supposed to do the same procedure on a hard copy. So it is highly recommended. Okay, so today what we do is we will solve another same type of example, but here we will make use of a second configuration of matching circuit. Okay, so we recall that which configuration of L-shaped matching circuit is being used, that is going to be dependent on where is the location of normalized impedance point, right? And we know that whenever the normalized impedance point is located within 1 plus jx circle, we will use first configuration. Otherwise, we will go for the second configuration. Okay. So today we will see this a particular example and we will solve this example. So I will maximize the screen. Now, please you go through this problem statement carefully and read the problem statement. What is the objective of this problem? Say I have a certain load which has a complex impedance. The impedance is given ZL is equal to real part 20 minus imaginary part is 30 ohm. Now this complex load impedance I want to match with a generator, okay, using a transmission line whose characteristic impedance Z0 is given, that is 50 ohm, at the operating frequency 1 gigahertz. So here the problem over here is we want to design an impedance matching circuit in order to match this complex load impedance to the generator using a transmission line, right? And this transmission line has the characteristic impedance of 50 ohm. Okay, and this matching circuit we want to design to be operable at 1 gigahertz frequency. Okay, so the generator is assumed to be matched to the transmission line. So please remember, here we are not going to match the generator to the transmission line. It is already assumed that the generator is matched to the transmission line. You recall the previous lecture that we saw the three different cases of matching. Okay, so here we assume that the generator is already matched and we are supposed to match the load impedance to the transmission line. Okay, so the problem statement is design a suitable LC lumped matching circuit to match the load impedance to the transmission line. So this is a typical problem statement of impedance matching circuit. So here we observe that our aim is to design an impedance matching circuit using lumped components, or that is by using inductor and capacitor in a specific L-shaped configuration, right? And the given information is the complex load impedance is given 20 minus J30. The characteristic impedance of transmission line, that is given 50 ohm, and the operating frequency is also specified, that is 1 gigahertz. So what we do first is we will practically solve this example on the Smith chart. I will show you on a PDF copy. Now I request you people to do the similar processes or operation along with me on your paper Smith chart. Okay. So first of all, we will devise operations and we will design a matching circuit, and then when we finish designing of the matching circuit, we will verify our design by using a simulator. Okay, and then we will tally our solution, right? So let us go ahead. First, the solution. So please remember, if you recall that whenever we want to design lumped element circuit matching, then I said that try to make use of a ZY chart. Why ZY chart? We can also make use of a Z chart, please remember. But only the thing is that when we make use of a ZY chart, the conductance circles and resistance circles are directly available. If you make use of a Z chart to solve the problem of lumped element matching circuit, then you will get the set of resistance circles, but you will not get the set of conductance circles which are required in order to match, in order to design the impedance matching circuit. So I advise you people kindly insist making use of ZY chart or combined chart whenever you are going to solve impedance matching problem, because it will give you ready-made set of conductance circles as well as resistance circles, right? So in the solution, first is plot the normalized value of load impedance. So what do we mean by normalization? Say whenever we want to enter any impedance point into the Smith chart, whenever we want to plot it, the first step is to normalize it. Okay, so normalizing means we will divide the given complex value of load impedance by the characteristic impedance of transmission line, and then we will get a real part and imaginary part. Then we will locate the real part as a resistance circle and imaginary part as an arc, and at the intersection of these 2 points we will plot that as a point. Okay, so it is already known to you how to do this. Okay, so let us go ahead and do this. So here I have a brand new Smith chart available. Okay, so if you look at this, this is a combined Smith chart or ZY Smith chart. Okay, so I hope that you people have the ZY Smith chart hard copy with you of the similar type. Okay, so first step is to plot the normalized value of load impedance. Okay, so what is the value of normalized value of load impedance? Real part is 0.4. It is indicating constant resistance circle of value 0.4, and the imaginary value is a negative. Okay, so which indicates negative reactance. Negative reactances are located on the downside, please remember. And in the earlier tutorials, you already know how to read the values of real part and imaginary part on the Smith chart. So real part is 0.4, imaginary part is 0.6, and please remember we are plotting impedance, right? So we treat this ZY chart as an impedance chart, though it is representing the both charts. Okay, so first step we are going to perform now. The step is what? Plot the normalized value 0.4 and minus 0.6. So here, where is the circle? You need to locate where is the circle of constant resistance value 0.4. So here, if you observe, see I am zooming in order to magnify. Here you observe the number which is written in a red color, it is a 0.4. So this is that particular circle. Okay, so how to locate a point then? So point 4, this particular circle, we need to find intersection with imaginary part, that is 0.6. Now let us see where is the 0.6 negative imaginary part reactance is located. So the reactance lines are these lines, please remember. Okay, so we need to find where is a 0.6. See over here, if you look into, I zoomed in the area. Now here you observe 0.6. So this is that particular arc. Okay, so this arc, wherever it intersects 0.4, right, wherever it intersects with the 0.4, so this circle and this line. Okay, so what I will do is I will trace a curve for you on the Smith chart and I will plot this point. So meanwhile you follow the same technique as on when I'm doing over here. So what you do is take a pencil. Okay, I will increase the brightness so that we can visualize. So the thickness, what I will do is I will select this yellow color, pastel yellow color. Okay, and then where is the 0.4? 0.4 circle is this one, right? So anyway, this point will get located on the downside. So I will not plot the upper half part. I will plot the lower half part of this real part. Okay, so here is a 0.4 circle, right? So I will reduce it a little bit thickness so that, say, here we are interested. So this part. So what I will do is I will take a pencil, okay, and then I will start tracing this particular circle. I'm tracing it downside because the point will get located downside somewhere here. Okay, and I will continue up to this point. Say, and then what is the imaginary part? Imaginary part is minus 0.6. Okay, so if you visualize here, I am zooming in into the graph. Here you can visualize the imaginary part 0.6, right? So you need to trace this graph. So I will start tracing it. You also do the same with the help of a pencil. Try to use dark color pencil, or if preferable, try to make use of a color pen if you have. So trace this curve. Okay, so I will zoom out now. Okay, say this circle is representing a real resistance circle of value 0.4, and this curve is representing negative reactance value of 0.6. So at the intersection of these points, our point is located. Okay, so this is how you can trace. Now you can mark this particular point, and this is our normalized ZL point. Okay, so what I will do is I will simply remove these curves in order to understand. So here the point of interest over here is, again I will denote with the black color, and I will increase the thickness, and I will plot that particular point. So where is that point? 0.4 and 0.6. So somewhere here. So this is that point. So I will zoom in. 0.4 and 0.6. So somewhere 0.4, right? So this is that particular point. Please remember. Okay. So highlight this point. Okay, and call this point as a ZL point. So I will write over here. What is this point? This point is ZL bar. Bar indicate that it is a normalized load impedance point. Okay, so if you visualize in the Smith chart, if you have done the steps along with me, then you will see that you have successfully plotted the load impedance point into the Smith chart. Okay, so next thing is you need to see with the second step. Observe that the normalized value of load impedance is whether it is located into 1 plus jx circle inside of it, or the 1 plus jx circle is also known as a unit resistance circle. Okay, so the next step is observe that whether the load impedance, this plotted load impedance, is located within 1 plus jx circle. We already know that what is 1 plus jx circle. 1 plus jx circle is a unit resistance circle. Okay. Now here I will not highlight this particular circle. Obviously, this particular normalized value of load impedance is located outside of this 1 plus jx circle. If this is the particular case, then as per theory, in order to design the impedance matching circuit, we will make use of second configuration. So the same step is mentioned over here. Say if the point is located inside 1 plus jx circle, then we will use the first configuration. If it is not, then we will use the second configuration. Now here we clearly observe that our plotted point is not located into 1 plus jx circle here, right? So that means we will go for using the second configuration. So what is second configuration? We will skip the third step then. The fourth step is then second configuration tells that the first element from the load should be series. Please remember, whatever impedance matching element that we are going to design, which will be the first element beginning from the load. So that element should be a series element. So please remember that first element of this matching circuit starting from the load should be a series element. Okay. And then the second element has to be a parallel. Okay. Second element has to be a parallel. So we ensure that we are going to make use of a second configuration in which the first matching element will be in series with the load and the second matching element will be in parallel with the given load. Okay. So as per the configuration, we are going to trace appropriate circle. So come to the fifth number step. According to the selected configuration. Now, right now, which configuration we selected? We selected the second configuration. Then as per the configuration, trace the appropriate circle. Okay. So first element is series, right? So if the first element is series, please remember from the given point of load impedance, we need to trace constant resistance circle. Okay. And for the parallel element, we are going to trace constant conductance circle. Okay. So then come to step number 6. So that we will first read it out and then we will perform actually on the Smith chart. Trace either constant resistance or constant conductance. G stands for conductance. Okay. Circle and find the intersection point. So this is our intermediate point. Okay, so at this step we will perform it and then we will show you on the Smith chart. Now come back again over here. Now what is this point? We already confirmed that this normalized value of load impedance is located outside this 1 plus jx circle, right? So that's why we are going to make use of second configuration of the impedance matching circuit, which says that the first element starting from ZL has to be a series element. Okay. So if it is a series element, then from the given impedance, we need to trace resistance circle. Okay. We need to trace a resistance circle. So a resistance circle we will trace in this way. Okay. Till we intersect constant conductance circle or unit conductance circle. So the unit conductance circle I will highlight first over here. Okay. So first of all, please remember we need to trace constant resistance circle for the series element, and if the element is parallel, we need to trace constant conductance circle. So the theory says from the given point, if the point is outside 1 plus jx circle, the first element is series. That's why from the ZL, we need to trace constant resistance circle. Okay. So this constant resistance circle is the resistance circle of 0.4. Please remember. Okay. So what I will do is I will first trace a constant resistance circle entirely and then I will show you. So what I will do is I will select this green color in order to draw the constant resistance circle, right? I will increase the weight to 4, right? Now see, I will draw the constant resistance circle from ZL bar. You also follow me the same along with me. See, this is that constant resistance circle. right? So likewise, you can go all around and tracing the constant resistance circle. Okay, say you need to trace in this particular way. Okay, so I will show you the accurate method to plot completely the constant resistance circle for the given path. Okay, so for that order, in order to do that, we require a compass. Okay, so we need to trace a constant resistance circle, right, which is passing from 0.4, okay, or ZL bar. So I want to trace this circle. Okay, so you need to first find where is the center point of this particular circle. So what I will do is I will take a compass. Okay, and what you do is you take a compass. What you do is you put the metal part of the compass on the real axis. So the real axis is the horizontal axis. Okay, somewhere on the real axis. Okay, now this ZL bar point, okay, so I want to draw a constant resistance circle, please remember, which is passing through ZL bar, which is passing through ZL bar. So what I know is I know the 2 points on the circle. Okay, so the circle is passing through ZL bar as well as this particular point. Okay, so meanwhile what I will do is, say I am showing you how to plot the constant resistance circle. So there is a one more point over here. Okay, so the constant resistance circle is passing through ZL bar as well as this particular point. So these 2 points are representing the chord of that particular circle. Okay, so what I will do is I will draw a chord for that particular circle. Actually, this procedure is need not to be done. Okay, so directly you can trace this particular circle, and whenever you find intersection with unit conductance circle, from there you can come down over here. Okay, so still how to draw a constant resistance circle which is passing through ZL bar, that procedure I will show you. Okay, and the same thing you can apply for all the examples, but actually it is not absolutely needed to completely draw the the resistance circle or conductance circle, but still I will be showing you because you should know the thing whenever it is required how to draw the conductance circle or resistance circle. So we know that these 2 points ZL bar and this point, now this point is representing Z is equal to infinity. So these 2 points are located on the circle. Okay, so that means if we join these 2 points, I will get a chord. Okay, so when I divide that chord exactly at the midway, and if I extend the line on the real axis, I will get the center position of that circle. Okay, so first of all what I will do is, please remember again, this procedure is optional, but you should know how to draw a conductance circle or resistance circle in the given Smith chart. So that procedure I am showing. Please remember this procedure is optional. Okay, now what I will do is I will join these 2 points. Again I will choose the yellow color. See, I join these 2 points, right? Okay, so what you do is now you divide this chord. So actually this is a chord of that particular constant resistance circle, which I shown with a yellow color. Now once you get a chord of the circle, you can find the center point of the radius. How? You can divide this chord of the circle exactly at the midway and extend that perpendicular bisector on the real axis over here. You will get an intersection. Now wherever it intersects on the real axis, there is the position of your center of the circle. Okay, so what I will do is I will measure what is the distance of this scale or this particular line. Roughly it is This is 1 centimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it is 9.8 around. The distance or the chord distance is 9.8. So you can divide it exactly at the halfway. So around 4.9. Okay, so measure 4.9 because I'm dividing this line into exactly halfway. 4.9 centimeter. So 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter, 4 centimeter. Okay, and somewhere here. Okay, so I will take some different color. 1, 2, 3, 4, and around 4.9 over here. Okay, I will increase the thickness so that I can plot. 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere here. Okay, now what you do is, say if you can visualize this small point I plotted, which is a halfway of this particular. So what you do is, take your scale now, take your scale, make it perpendicular, make it exactly perpendicular to that particular point. Okay, so now you can observe here that what I am drawing is, this is that center point, right? So I am placing the ruler such that it is exactly vertical, making a 90-degree over here. Okay, so what you do then, you take the pencil again. Okay, and from here you draw a straight line which cuts the real axis. You remove the ruler. Now please remember, here I have drawn a perpendicular bisector to the chord of the circle. Okay, so this perpendicular bisector over here, it cuts the real axis somewhere. Okay, so this is the position of the center of that particular circle. Okay, so what I will do now is, I will take a compass, right? I will put that compass because I know that the center position of the circle. So the metal part of the compass I will place at this particular point. Okay, see here I am exactly getting located. Okay, and take distance in your compass. So here at the center of this particular point, you put the metal part of your compass. Take distance in your compass from this point to z is equal to infinity point. Okay, in this way, and then say what is the distance that you are going to take in the compass. Put metallic part of your compass at this particular point. Okay, take distance in compass is equal to this radius. From this point to this point, take the distance in the compass and then draw a circle. You will find a constant resistance circle. Okay, so I will draw it now. Our constant resistance circle, what I will do is, I will choose this red color. Okay, and then what I will do is, I will start drawing it. So I will draw that. Now you also draw it because you know the center position, you know the radius distance. Put the compass at the center position and draw slowly a constant resistance circle. Okay, and after that you remove the compass. Okay, so if you observe over here, okay, if you observe over here, what we have drawn, we have drawn a constant resistance circle. So here, if you can observe, this red circle we have just right now we have drawn, right? So this is what the constant resistance circle. Okay, so which is passing through ZL, right? Now, what is the next procedure? As we know that from ZL as the ZL is located outside 1 plus JX circle, the first element is series element. Then in order to design a series element from ZL, we need to trace constant resistance circle such that we will find intersection with unit conductance circle. So first of all, you need to locate where is your unit conductance circle. Unit conductance circle is directly visible over here, please remember. Okay. So if you visualize, zoom in into the Smith chart. So here you observe clearly that this is the unit resistance circle. Okay. So if you want me to visualize the unit conductance circle, then I will again highlight it. Okay. So again for that, say it is not at all to required to draw the unit conductance circle because it is directly visible. See the circle which has a value of conductance 1, okay, which is this one. Okay, but still if you want to plot this particular circle, the same procedure you can apply and you can draw the unit conductance circle. So the same procedure I will do. I will choose the protector now. Okay, I will place the center, one metallic part of the protector on the center, and on the left hand side, say I will adjust the center position of the, so that on the right hand side I will place the metallic part of the compass on the real axis such that the radius from that particular center point is exactly at the midway of or my Smith chart point. Okay. Okay. And then I will choose some different color. I will choose this blue color to locate the constant unit conductance circle. And then first of all I will place it correctly. Okay. And then what I will do is I will draw that circle. Okay. See, I did the same procedure. This is optional. You need not to draw the circles. Please remember. Only when if the lines of circles are not visible, then you can follow this procedure. Otherwise, approximately if the lines are visible, you can directly plot the circle. Okay. So here we clearly observe that we have a red circle which we drawn as a unit resistance circle, and we have drawn the blue circle. Now this blue circle is unit conductance circle. So put your pencil on ZL bar and start tracing the resistance circle which we have drawn right now. Okay. So start tracing it. Now what I will do is I will change the color. I will increase the thickness to a little bit more amount, and I will select yellow color for tracing. Put your pencil on ZL bar and start tracing unit resistance circle which we have just right now drawn. Okay. So say along with me, you trace. Say when you trace the resistance circle, you will cut the unit conductance circle which is there in the blue color at two different positions. Okay. So this is first intersection, and if you still go ahead, yeah, I will rub it and I will draw it again. I will zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then I will draw it again. Say from ZL, I will trace. So here you will get an intersection, right? Right? And if you go continuously in the upward direction, tracing that circle, again you will get an intersection at this particular point. Okay. So you can trace in this way, right? So you can trace in this way. Okay. So here you will find that you will get a two intersection point. One intersection point is over here, right, with the unit conductance circle, and the second intersection point will be over here somewhere. Okay. Now please remember that this is not the valid design point or intermediate point. Why? Because from this point we want to reach to the center of the Smith chart over here, which is always representing matched value of impedance, that is characteristic impedance of transmission line. So our aim is to start from this point and reach to the center of the Smith chart by tracing on constant resistance circle and constant conductance circle. So we have tracing the constant resistance circle, we will get an intersection with unit conductance circle. Now you may say that from this point we can trace constant conductance circle and reach here. But this is not a valid solution, please remember, because say we are tracing resistance circle. How we are tracing? We are tracing upward. That means we are tracing resistance circle means series inductor. Okay. And from here we are tracing conductance circle. Okay. So how we are tracing? We are tracing upward again. So it will give the inductor element. Okay. So this path is going to provide series inductor and this path is going to provide parallel inductor. So here in the matching circuit, if you take this design point as an intermediate point, in order to reach at the center of the Smith chart from the ZL bar point, we will get first path is going to give us series inductor and this second path is going to give us parallel inductor. So please remember, in a matching circuit, there could not be both inductors or both capacitors. So that's why even we get the intersection with this particular point is a not intermediate valid point. So what we do is we will skip this particular point in order to reach at the Z0. We will go further tracing this particular resistance circle till we reach over here. Okay. And from this point, we will come down by tracing constant conductance circle. Okay, so we are coming down, that means the element is a capacitor, right? And what we are tracing now, from this point to this point, we are tracing conductance circle. That's why the capacitor has to be a parallel. Okay, so please remember, this is a valid point. So I will circle over here at particular this point. Okay, and I will call this point as a point number 1. Please remember why we have not considered this intersection point to be intermediate point. Because if we take this point as an intermediate point, we will trace from ZL to this point, which will give series inductor. And from this point, if we trace this conductance path, it will give again a parallel inductor. So in the matching circuit design, there could not be both inductors or both capacitors. If one is an inductor, then the second has to be a capacitor and vice versa. Okay, so in that point of view, if we go further tracing the same resistance circle, and if we take this particular intersection of resistance circle with unit conductance circle, so which I already denoted with point number 1, right? So this is a valid design. And from this point, what you do is you start tracing conductance circle now. Okay, and how you trace? You should trace it downside from point 1 to point Z0. So how you are tracing? You are tracing downside. So that means it should give you the capacitor, right? And on which circle you are tracing? We are tracing on conductance circle. So this path will give us the parallel capacitor, right? So I will first of all trace this particular path and I will show it for you. So from point 1, what I will do is I will start coming down on constant conductance circle in this way, right? And when I reach at point number Z0, that ultimately I reach at the center of the Smith chart. And here is what we have reached to the center of Smith chart, and thus we have accomplished the matching circuit. Okay, so there are two paths we traced. The path number 1 is from ZL bar to point number 1. What we traced? We traced resistance circle. That means the element is a series, and we traced how we traced it upward. That means it will give an inductor because of the upward direction. Okay, and when we reached at point number 1, from point number 1 we traced constant conductance circle, and so we reach at the center of the Smith chart, and this path is going to give us parallel capacitor. Okay, so I hope you understood the theory. We have traced resistance circle, That's why the first element is a series, and but later on we have traced constant conductance circle, and that's why the element is parallel. Okay, so first of all I will show you the traveling direction of the path. So first path is this one, right? We have gone up in this way, beginning with ZL bar up to this point, point number 1. Okay, I hope that along with me you people are also drawing the same traces or curves on your hard copy of the Smith chart. Okay, now when you reach at the point number 1, I trace downside in this way so that I can reach at the center of Smith chart. Okay, so path number 1 over here, so this is path number 1, so I will change the color now, and here I will write as a path 1. Path 1. So this path 1 from ZL bar to point number 1 is going to give me series inductor, and path number 2. Okay, so here I will write what is that path number 2. So what is the path number 2? Path number 2 is from point number 1 to Z0. So please remember here the intermediate point is point number 1 in the entire path. So what we do is from ZL bar we go up to point 1. Point 1 is the intermediate point, and from point number 1 we will trace down, and then we will reach at the center of Smith chart. Okay, so this is a very critical and very important operation in the Smith chart while locating the values of inductors and capacitor. Okay, so please remember that in the hard copy of the Smith chart you should show the tracing of these paths accurately. Okay, and you should label these paths, and you should clearly highlight which is the starting point, which is the destination point for the first path as well as for the second path. So for the first path, the starting point is a ZL bar and the destination point is point number 1 for first path, right? And for the second path, the starting point will become point number 1 and the destination point will become the center of Smith chart, which is Z0. Okay, then we already know the empirical equation. Okay, so we know that the path number 1 is going to give us a series inductor. Path number 2 is going to give us a parallel capacitor. So make use of those equations of series inductor and parallel capacitor, place the values of appropriate reactances and susceptances, and then calculate. So let us see how to do this. So we understood that we have obtained, so I will make a new slide over here in the solution, and here I will write the solution continued, right? So here I will write, or let us say the first point, or I will continue from the earlier slide. So let us say this is a step number 8. Step number 8 is path 1. So what is path 1? First of all, you need to write what is that path 1. So see your Smith chart. Path 1 is the path between ZL bar and point number 1. So path 1 is ZL. So I will write small ZL to point 1. What it gives? This is going to give me series inductor, right? So write down the formula of series inductor. What is the formula? J omega L is equal to J times. Refer to that table of standard equations or formulae which I shown you last time. Okay, so I will write it directly. Reactance at source minus reactance at destination, right? So if you refer to the formulae earlier written formulae, right? Reactance at source and destination and all those things. So you could remember that and you can write the same equation. Reactance at source minus reactance at destination, right? Destination point. And it is a reactance, that means we need to multiply it by Z0, right? So j omega L on the left hand side, the imaginary part j will get cancelled. I will directly write omega is 2 into pi. 2 into pi into f. 2 pi f into L is equal to, see on the both side I have cancelled out the j part. Now reactance at source point. What is the source point? ZL. minus reactance at destination point. Okay, so what is the destination point for path number 1? Destination point for the path number 1 is point number 1. Okay, so here reactance at point 1 multiplied by Z0, right? So I need to make sure that whether we have used the correct equation. So I will open the book and I will see whether we have correctly written the formulae. So I will open. I am opening the books so that we can follow the correct equation. I'm just wanted to see the equation. So these are the solved example from my book. So just I want to come to the table of standard equation to calculate the lumped values of inductor and capacitor. Okay, say these equations. Okay, so the series value of an inductor, say we need to first take the destination minus source. Please remember. So we made a reverse over here. So here I will change the formula. Reactance at destination, please remember, not source first, minus reactance at source. Okay, so kindly make this change because we have made a mistake in formula. So I corrected right now. So first of all, we need to take the destination point and then subtract it with the source point, right? So reactance at a destination and reactance at source. So what is the destination point in path number 1? The destination point in path number 1 is point number 1, right? Reactance at point 1, I will write minus reactance at source point. So what is the source in path number 1? The source in path number 1 is a ZL bar, right? ZL, I will write simply ZL, right? Bracket complete, multiplied by Z0. What is the value of Z0? Z0 is given characteristic impedance and that is 50 ohm. Now we go ahead and place the values of appropriate value of reactance. Okay, so here I'll place the value now. Now 2 into continue pi into f, where f is a 1 gigahertz. Please remember. Okay, so f I will write right now into L, right? Because here the unknown value that we want to find is a inductance value. Now be very carefully in order to understand and read the value of reactance and kindly follow the sign convention. We know that when we read reactance value, okay, in the reactance value in the lower half, they are treated as a negative values, and reactance value in the upper half of the Smith chart, they are treated as a positive value. So kindly don't make any mistake in reading of the values and also to take the appropriate correct sign convention. Again, I repeat, whenever you read a reactance value and whenever it is in the lower half, it is negative. Whenever the reactance value in the upper half of the Smith chart, it is to be treated as a positive. So please take this into your consideration while reading the values of reactance. So reactance at point number 1, say I am going to read out reactance at point number 1. So how it is given? Say reactance line which is closer to point number 1 is this line. I will highlight it. Say I will highlight with some other color. I will choose this green color. Say this reactance line of 0.5, you need to always read the value above the line, please remember. Okay, so this point is a little bit closer to 0.5. So actually this line is one division below 0.5. So whether the point number 1 is located in the upper half or lower half of the Smith chart, definitely it is located in the upper half. So the reactance value, the polarity, we need to take and we need to consider it as a positive value. So as it is one line below the 0.5, see this is a particular, this is the value that we want to read. Now this value is one division exactly below 0.5 and 0.4 is over here. Okay, so if I zoom in, you can visualize. So 0.4 is over here. You need to read the value on the top of the curve, please remember. And here it is a 0.5. So this line where I have shown the arrow diagram, so this is our concern reactance point. So approximately I will take 0.42, 0.44, 0.46 and this is 0.48, positive 0.48. So here the reactance, what I will do is I will take positive 0.48, okay, minus. Now I need to find what is the reactance at ZL. Okay, so first of all locate where is your ZL point. Say ZL is in the lower half of the Smith chart, so that's why the reactance has to be taken as a negative. Okay, so I will locate this point now. So ZL is located over here. Okay, if you clearly observe, this ZL is located on the negative reactance of 0.6. So I will draw that. See this particular line, correct? See, along with me, you also draw so that you can understand how to locate the values of reactances. So this is that particular value, 0.6. Exactly, it is located on 0.6, right? So ZL bar reactance is a negative. So negative 0.6. So minus and minus 0.6. Please remember. Please make sure that when you ended with certain negative calculation in the equation, make sure that you have made mistake in reading either the value or you have made mistake in taking the appropriate sign convention. Okay, so always please remember when you put the values, the equation has to be evaluated positive. Okay, so into 50. Okay, now here only the unknown in this particular equation is the inductor value. You put the value of pi, that is the standard value, okay, 3.14, and you put the value of frequency 1 gigahertz, solve this equation and find out the value of L. So here I will make a provision for L. Okay, so similarly first I will complete writing the equation of path number 2. What is path number 2? Path number 2, see here again I will open the Smith chart. Please remember all these things you need to show on the Smith chart. Okay, so path number 2 is the path existing between point number 1 and point Z0. Okay, so path number 1 and path number Z0. So the point number 1 and point number Z0. So the path number 2 is point 1 to point Z0. Say point 1 to point Z0. So what this path gives us? Yes, this path is going to give us parallel. Yes, why parallel? Because we are going to trace conductance circle. So that's why it is a parallel. Parallel. And how we are tracing it? We are tracing it downside. So that's why it is a capacitor. Okay. So here I will write capacitor. Okay. So what is the formula of parallel capacitor? Come to the book. Okay. So open that book. Where is that book? So in that book, you just find out what is the value of parallel capacitor. Okay. Go to appropriate page number, approximately 180 page number. Okay, and just find out appropriate formula from the given box or from the given table of standard equation to calculate the values of lumped elements. Parallel capacitor. Okay, so for parallel capacitor, use the last equation j omega c and use susceptance with the destination. Okay, so what it gives, j omega c, okay, is equal to j times, now we are tracing the conductance circle, so that's why we need to take into account susceptance. So susceptance at destination, I will rewrite the equation, minus susceptance at source. Okay, and we are dealing with the susceptances, then we need to multiply it with z0 reciprocal. Okay, so multiplied by y0. So y0 is nothing but 1 by z0. Okay, then on the left hand side, on the right hand side of this equation, the j terms will get cancelled, and omega I will write 2 into y into f into multiplied by c is equal to susceptance. Now again I will write susceptance at destination point. So what is the destination point of path number 2? The destination point of path number 2 is a z0, that is a match point, right? That's susceptance at z0 minus susceptance at source point. So what is the source point of that path? The source point of path number 2 is point number 1. Susceptance at point 1. Okay, multiplied by y0. y0 is multiplied by 1 upon z0, 1 divided by 50, right? Then you again rewrite 2 into pi into f into c. Now very carefully you read the value of susceptance. Now you already know that how to read the value of susceptance. Now please remember, at the matched point at the center of Smith chart, there is no susceptance and no reactance. So directly you can write 0. Okay, minus. Now you need to read what is the value of susceptance at point number 1. Please remember, again you need to follow the sign convention of locating a susceptance. We know that as per the sign convention, the susceptance located in the upper Smith chart are treated as a negative, while the susceptance located in the lower of the Smith chart are treated as a positive. Now first of all, you find where is your point number 1 is located. Point number 1 is obviously located in the upper half. So whatever value of susceptance that we want to read out, we take the negative value. Okay, so mark the susceptance R. Now we already know that point number 1 at which we want to draw a line of a susceptance curve, right? So we already have these two lines. So 1.2. So if you observe here carefully, this point number 1 is somewhat approximately located between the two susceptance curves. One is a 1.4 written in a blue and another is a 1.2. So this point is exactly midway. So if you particularly trace this susceptance, okay, say I will draw the susceptance arc. See, this is the susceptance arc. So this susceptance arc is exactly between 1.4 and 1.2. So here approximately we can take the value 1.3. And this susceptance is located on the above of the half of the Smith chart. So the value 1.3, why 1.3? Because this is somewhat got located in between 1.4 and 1.2. So approximately you can take it in between midway of 1.2 and 1.4. So I will take 1.3. Okay, so and what is the polarity? The polarity is negative 1.3. So here I will write negative 1.3, bracket complete, and multiplied by 1 by 50. Okay, so please remember our artwork is over here. Okay, we have correctly written all the values of reactance and susceptances, and we highlighted all these operations in our Smith chart. Now please remember, all these operations you need to exclusively show on the Smith chart because it is going to carry the marks. Okay, so whatever readings that you are going to take, whatever markings that you are going to make, all should be visible in your individual Smith chart. because it is going to carry the marks. Okay, so right now the use of the Smith chart is over here. So this impedance matching circuit will take us from ZL to point 1 and from point 1 to Z0, and when we reach at the Z0 point at the center, we will match ultimately the given value of load impedance with the characteristic impedance of transmission line. Okay, so only the part left over here is to make the calculation and to draw the final circuit. So let us do that. So here you calculate the value of capacitor. Okay, now you do it own. I request you people to calculate this particular equation along with this particular equation, right? And find out the values of inductor series and parallel capacitor and write down these values. Do it your own and write down the values. So I hope that you people have calculated individually these equations and found out the values of series value of inductor and parallel value of capacitor. Now I will highlight those values. So the series value of inductor, from this calculation I have got around 8.59 nanohenry or 8.59 into 10 raised to minus 9 henries, right? And similarly the value of parallel capacitor I have got 4.138 picofarad, okay, or 4.138 into 10 raised to minus 12 farad. Okay, so these are the values of series inductor and parallel capacitor. Now let us validate that we calculated over here. Those are also correct because the values which we got after simulation, those are in close agreement with the manually calculated values. Okay, and then finally we need to draw a circuit. Okay, so that is the last step. Okay, so in order to draw the circuit, I will make use of a paint application. Okay, so this is a paint. So first of all, I will draw a transmission line. So this is our transmission line, correct? So this is our transmission line. Right? Now on the right hand side, we have a load impedance. Okay, so the load I will show over here. This is our ZL, right? So this ZL is connected with the transmission line using a matching circuit. Okay, so this transmission line has a characteristic impedance Z0 or ZO, which is 50 ohm, right? So what I'll do is I will redraw it again. So I'll choose a line to represent a transmission line. So let us say this is a transmission line, right? Clearly visualize. Now this transmission line you have drawn, the characteristic impedance of this transmission line is 50 ohm. So Z0 is 50 ohm, please remember. Okay. Then we are going to draw a load, complex load impedance, which is there on the right hand side over here. Okay, so this is our complex load impedance. I will label it. What is the value? The value was ZL is equal to, the value was 20 minus J30, right? So the value is 20 minus J30 ohm, right? Now this impedance we want to connect with a transmission line of 50 ohm. Now for that we need to design the impedance matching, and we did that impedance matching circuit. So first of all, this is the connection of the load impedance, the transmission line in this way, right? So the first element starting from the load is a series element. So first element is a series element, and we saw what is that series element. The series element, we saw the inductor. Okay, so take the inductor in order to show the series element. So series element over here, right? This will be our series element. Okay, and the second element is the parallel, right? Parallel capacitor. Okay, I will rotate it. So this is a parallel capacitor. Okay, so what I will do is I will redraw it again, and the value of first element. So the first element from the load is the parallel capacitor, and the second element from the load is parallel capacitor. Okay, and then on the left hand side we have our transmission line in this way, right? And here the transmission line in this way. Okay, and you can connect the component. You can connect on this side also. Okay, and whatever the extra part is there, you can remove it. You can draw it with your hand also. Okay, so this is a transmission line, right? And the impedance which we get by looking into this transmission line is Z0. Okay, and Z0 is 50 ohm. And on the left hand side somewhere here the generator is there. So this inductor is a series inductor. So this is a number 1 element. So here I will write first element series L. Okay, so what is the value of inductor we have got? The value of theoretical inductor, series inductor, we have got 8.59 nanohenry. 8.59 nanohenry, right? And similarly here the second element we have got the parallel capacitor. So here I will write second element parallel capacitor. Okay, and what is the value of that capacitor? You can write out here. The value of capacitor we have got 4.1 picofarad. 4.1 picofarad, right? So this completes the design of impedance matching circuit. So please remember over here that the given value of complex load impedance, now it is matched with this transmission line of characteristic impedance 50 ohm, so that on the left hand side it is matched with the generator. And the matching circuit is this matching circuit, which consists of series inductor and parallel capacitor. Okay, so here I will draw a box and I will denote that with some different color, and this box is nothing but your matching circuit. So here this blue box indicates matching circuit, right? Matching LC circuit you can write. Okay, so this is the complete design of matching circuit, which matches the given value of complex load impedance 20 minus J30 with a transmission line on the left hand side whose characteristic impedance is 50 ohm, using a lumped element components, that is a series element first and the second element is parallel capacitor. So this finishes the complete example. I hope all the procedure you have completed along with me, and this particular question, if it is asked in the examination, it will carry at least 10 marks. So please remember, it is a very straightforward solution. Only you need to remember the exact sign convention, and you should be able to exactly read the values of reactance and capacitance. Okay, and you need to remember the 4 standard formulae to calculate the values of lumped elements. Okay, and you should be able to also make a proper judgment when to use what element and which configuration. Okay, so I hope that this particular example, second example of lumped element, is very clear to you. In earlier example, we saw the design of lumped element matching circuit using first configuration. Now today, in this second example, we saw the design of the matching circuit using lumped component using second configuration. Okay, so I hope that likewise, if the example comes in the examination, either it is based on the first configuration or second configuration, you are able to solve it. Okay, so I hope these are the solution, and today we saw the second configuration of matching circuit using lumped components. Okay, so these are the two ways in which the matching circuit can be designed. Please remember that we revised that we cannot make use of here. If we observe this particular circuit, here the both elements should be different. If one is an inductor, other has to be a capacitor, and vice versa. You should not put both inductor or both capacitors, right? So otherwise it will not be a matching circuit. In the matching circuit, the name itself indicates it is a LC matching circuit. So it contains at least two different elements. One is an inductor, another is a capacitor, and vice versa. You should not put both inductors or both capacitors. So I hope that all the types of matching circuit using lumped components, using the first configuration, only two configuration we have. Both the types of examples are illustrated to you in a detail in a stepwise procedure and along with a actual drawing on a Smith chart. I hope that you followed all these steps along with me in this particular example, and you have also completed your paper Smith chart. Okay, so all these calculations, so whatever I have shown on the Smith chart and whatever I have shown the manual numerical calculation on the PowerPoint, all these you need to show on a paper. Okay, and you need to highlight your answer. So you need to highlight your answer when you complete those. Okay, and then finally you also need to draw appropriate circuit diagram and mention the values of components. Then only if your values are correct over here, okay, or if your values are in the same range and if your approach is correct, then you will get out of out mark. Okay, so I hope you understood this second configuration of impedance matching circuit. Okay, so what we do is in our next lecture we will start different types of matching circuit, and we will study quarter wave transformer technique, which is a very simple and that deals with matching of only real valued impedances with the transmission line. So in our next lecture, we will go ahead and we will see another type of a matching circuit in which we simply want to match the real value of impedance by using a quarter wave transformer technique. So I hope you understood and captured all the necessary information which is required in this particular lecture. Okay, so thank you very much, and let us see you in our next lecture. Thank you very much.